while everyone's out there stuffing their faces for Thanksgiving. We've got 3 bombs that are gonna blow your mind. A rookie who shut everyone up against Pittsburgh, and now has the whole front office in a tough spot. The so-called experts keep disrespecting us, even though we're leading the division. And the Super Bowl odds, a total joke. Plus, the perfect plan to make the champs suffer in their own house this Friday. If you dip now, you'll miss the truth nitrogen monoxide one else is telling. Smash that like button, hit subscribe, and stick around because this is on fire. First story. Alright, I'm gonna keep it real with you. When I saw Ozzy Trapilo was starting against the Steelers last Sunday, I thought, here we go again. Let's not forget, this team couldn't even keep him on the left side during training camp. They moved him before preseason even ended, so why would I think it'd work now against one of the most physical defenses in the NFL? But let me tell you something, I was wrong, and I've never been happier to be wrong in my life. Ozzy Trapilo came out Sunday and played the game of his life. I'm not exaggerating. This kid, second-round pick, number 56 overall, finally showed why Ryan Poles spent that kind of draft capital on him. And it wasn't against just anybody, it was against Nick Herbig, a pass rusher who came into the game with 6.5 sacks, and is one of the most underrated guys at his position in the league. And you know what Trapilo did? He shut him down. Let me hit you with the numbers because this is insane. Trapilo was left on an island, one-on-one with Herbig, 13 times, 13, folks. And in those 13 reps, guess how many pressures he allowed? 1, just 1, 0 sacks, 0 QB hits. Now tell me, how many rookie tackles in the entire NFL can say they did that against a pass rusher like Herbig? And here's what I love about this. Ben Johnson, our offensive coordinator who came from Detroit with all that hype, didn't feel the need to protect the rookie, while Darnell Wright was dealing with TJ Watt on the other side, one of the best defenders in the league. Johnson left Trapilo out there alone. That's trust, people. That's believing in your guy. Now here's the million-dollar question. Did Trapilo do enough to keep the job when Theo Benedette comes back from that quad injury? I'm telling you right now, I think he did, and here's why. Look, Benedette's been solid. I'm not gonna lie, in the run game. The dude's a bulldozer, but here's the issue, and it's a big one, in pass protection. Benedette's been a liability every time you see Caleb Williams pulling off some Houdini escape act. A lot of the time it's because Benedette blew his assignment when a defender gets to Williams fast, and there's no extra blitz. Guess who probably messed up? Exactly, and you know what's easier to scheme around? It's way easier to work with a tackle who's not elite in the run game than one who can't protect your quarterback. Pass protection is everything in today's NFL. Without it, you've got nothing. But there's another reason, and it's huge. Ryan Poles used a second-round pick on Trapilo. Second round. That's not nothing. He was drafted specifically to play on the left side. Darnell Wright isn't going anywhere. He's having a Pro Bowl level season at right tackle and looks like one of the best in the league. So what's the point of Trapilo if he can't play left tackle? That would mean he's just a backup. And I ask you, does it make sense to use a second-round pick on a backup tackle? Hell, nitrogen monoxide. Olin Kreutz, the legendary Bears center and a guy who knows offensive line play, said this about Trapilo: very efficient, played a really good game, really put himself in position not to get beat. When Olin Kreutz gives you props like that, man, that's big. Look, I give all the credit in the world to Theo Benedette. The guy came out of nowhere, literally picked up after the 2024 draft, and held down that left tackle spot way longer than anyone expected. He outplayed Braxton Jones, who was supposed to get a big contract this season. Benedette's gonna have a long NFL career as a quality backup tackle, and that's no small thing. And this is a big but, I don't think Benedette is the long-term answer at left tackle. Trapilo, on the other hand, might be. I think the Bears need to give Trapilo an extended look at left tackle to close out the season. Why? Because that'll help them decide if they need to go out and add the final piece to the O-line puzzle this offseason. And if Trapilo is the answer, if this kid can keep playing at this level, that's a massive win for Ryan Poles and the whole organization. Think about it. If Trapilo is the solution, that means Ryan Poles built a complete, dominant defensive line without having to spend more draft picks or free agency money. That's elite roster building. That's what winning teams do. And here's the thing, Chicago, we've suffered through years of terrible offensive lines, years of watching our quarterbacks run for their lives. From the Jay Cutler era, through Trubisky, and even last year with Fields it's been the same story. O-lines that can't protect, can't open holes, can't do their job. But now, we finally have a front office that gets it. Ryan Poles has invested real resources into this. You need Darnell Wright in the first round last year, Nate Davis in free agency, Teven Jenkins developing, and now Trapilo showing he might be the final piece. You know what that means? It means Caleb Williams, our future. Our number 1 pick is gonna have time. He's gonna have protection. He's gonna be able to run Ben Johnson's offense the way it's designed, without constantly worrying about pressure. And let me tell you something about Ben Johnson. This guy turned Jared Goff, a quarterback people thought was done in LA, into one of the most efficient QBs in the league. How? With a solid O-line and a dominant run game. And now he's got those same tools here in Chicago. Let me ask you this, are you starting to see the big picture? Are you starting to understand why this 8-3 team isn't a fluke? It's not luck, folks. It's building, it's having a plan and executing it. But here's the challenge. Trapilo has to keep this up. One great game is awesome, but we need consistency. We need to see it week after week against different pass rushers and different game situations. Because if there's one thing we know about the NFL, it's that teams are gonna study that Pittsburgh tape and look for any weakness they can find. The next test, Black Friday against the Eagles, and while he might not face a rusher as good as Herbig, he'll be under the national spotlight in a Thanksgiving game against the Super Bowl champs. That's real pressure. That's when you find out what a player's made of. I believe in Trapilo. I think he's got it, but now he's got to go out and prove it again. And if he does, if he puts together another strong game against Philly, then I'm telling you the debate is over. Trapilo is this team's starting left tackle, period. Second story now, while we're hyped about what Trapilo and this O-line just pulled off, there's something that's got my blood boiling, and that's the complete lack of respect this team keeps getting from the so-called NFL experts. Let me ask you something. How many teams in the NFC have a better record than the Bears? One, just one. The Bears are sitting at 8-3, leading the NFC North, winners of 8 of their last 9 games. And guess how many NFC teams have better Super Bowl odds than us? 7. 7 teams. How is that possible? I mean, seriously, how does a team that's winning, that's in first place in their division, with one of the best records in the conference, get treated like a second-tier squad? And it doesn't stop there. In this week's power rankings from The Athletic, guess where they've got the Bears? Number 12, behind 6 NFC teams, including the Packers at 7 and the Lions at 8. Teams that, by the way, are behind us in the standings, and you know what they wrote about us. Let me read this because it's got me heated. Caleb Williams had one of the ugliest plays by any quarterback this season, but also threw for 3 touchdowns on Sunday. The defense also allowed the Steelers to convert over half of their third downs, raising legitimate questions about how real this 8-win team is. Legitimate questions about how real this team is. Seriously, we've won 8 of our last 9. We're in first place. Caleb Williams is playing like a seasoned vet in his rookie year with a brand new OC. Our defense leads the entire league in interceptions with 16. And they're still questioning if we're for real. Let me tell you something, if we were the Cowboys with this record, they'd be calling us Super Bowl favorites. If we were the 49ers, they'd be saying we're the best team in the NFC. But because we're the Bears, because we've got a history of falling short, because we haven't won anything in decades, they treat our wins like they don't count. And here's what really ticks me off. The Super Bowl odds have the Bears at plus 7,500. That's 8th in the NFC. The Lions are at plus 1,200. The Packers at plus 1,500. Teams that are behind us in the standings have better odds than we do. You know what that tells me? It tells me nobody in the national media is watching our games. They're running on old narratives, outdated perceptions, stuck in the idea that the Bears are still the same old losers. But let me ask you, have you seen this team play? Have you seen the transformation since Ben Johnson took over? Have you seen Caleb Williams grow week after week? Have you seen this defense creating turnovers and winning games? Look at the numbers. Caleb Williams has thrown for 2,568 yards, 16 touchdowns, and just for picks, that's a 4-2-1 TD to int ratio. That's ELITE for a rookie. Yeah, his completion percentage is 59 to not quite the 70% Ben Johnson wants. But you know what? He's getting better. Every week, he's improving. And here's the thing about Ben Johnson. Kurt Warner, the Hall of Famer, came out this week and said, Johnson's offense is heavily influenced by Mike Martz, the OC who turned Warner into a Super Bowl champ with the Rams' greatest show on turf. Warner tweeted this, and I quote, "Someone told me recently that Ben Johnson has been heavily influenced by Mike Martz. And as I keep watching the film, nitrogen monoxide out. The number of ways they run pinch is amazing. That's the route that built my house. And it works against every coverage. You get what that means. It means we've got an OC using concepts that worked in one of the most explosive offenses in NFL history, concepts that made Kurt Warner an MVP. And now he's adapting them for Caleb Williams. And this group of receivers, Pat McAfee, one of the biggest voices on ESPN, said something on his show Monday that every Bears fan needs to hear. He said, "The Bears are the kings of the North. This is real." And he added, "Let me talk about what I like about Caleb Williams. Ben Johnson, what he did with the Detroit Lions and Jared Goff. He turned Jared Goff, who's a robot, into a very, very, very efficient robot. So we were wondering if Caleb Williams could ever fit into Ben Johnson's system. For that to happen, you need a great O-line. They invested in it. You need a great run game." And McAfee's right. The Bears have both. They've got an O-line that's getting better every week. They've got a run game with Danders Swift and Khalil Herbert, and now Williams is fully locked into the system. And the results speak for themselves. But here's my point. Why is Pat McAfee one of the only national voices giving the Bears the credit they deserve? Why do we have to wait for someone like him to say this is real before anyone else starts paying attention? I'll tell you why. Because this league, these media folks, these experts are obsessed with narratives. And the Bears' narrative for years has been losing team, bad organization, QB killers, never gonna win anything. And changing that narrative takes more than just winning games. It takes winning big games against big teams in big moments. And that's exactly the opportunity we've got on Black Friday. The Philadelphia Eagles, the Super Bowl champs, in their house on national prime time. This is the kind of game that defines seasons. This is the kind of game that flips narratives. This is the kind of game that forces the experts to eat their words and admit they were dead wrong about the Bears. And you know what? I think we're gonna win that game. I think this defense is gonna make Jalen Hurts miserable. I think Caleb Williams is gonna come out and have the best game of his young career. I think we're going into Philly and we're gonna announce to the world that the Chicago Bears are a real team, a real contender, and we deserve every bit of respect we've been denied. But don't get it twisted, this won't be easy. The Eagles are loaded. Jalen Hurts is dangerous. Saquon Barkley, even in a down year, is still one of the best backs in the league. A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith are elite receivers. This ain't a free win. But here's the thing. This Bears team has shown they can win tough games. We beat the Steelers in Pittsburgh. We beat the Packers at Lambeau. We've won ugly games, close games, games where we had to grind it out when nothing was going right. That's what real teams do. Real teams find ways to win even when they're not playing their best ball. Real teams rise in big moments. Real teams don't flinch under the bright lights or in high-pressure spots. The Chicago Bears are a real team, and it's time the whole league wakes up and sees it. Third story, let's talk about how we're gonna win that game against the Eagles. Because I've got the perfect plan, and it all starts with making Jalen Hurts absolutely miserable. Remember the last time the Bears faced the Eagles back in 2022? Let me jog your memory. Jalen Hurts had one of the worst passing games of his career. Yeah. He ran for 3 touchdowns, 2 of them on those infamous tush pushes the Eagles love so much, but as a passer, he was a mess. Hurts threw 2 picks that day, completed just 59% of his 22 passes, finished with a passer rating of 6 to 4.6. That's a WFUL for a guy who's supposed to be one of the league's quarterbacks. And here's the thing, that game was 3 years ago. In freezing Chicago weather, Black Friday in Philly probably won't be that cold. But that doesn't mean we can't make Hurts suffer again. Because let me tell you something about Jalen Hurts. In 2025, he's been mid. The headlines won't stop talking about A.J. Brown and other offensive players being frustrated with him against the Cowboys last Sunday. Hurts started hot but completely cooled off in the second half. The Eagles didn't score a single point after halftime, and Hurts himself admitted post-game that he didn't play well. So how do we take advantage of that? How do we keep the bad vibes rolling? Here's how. First, we need Jalen Johnson back for this one. Johnson versus A.J. Brown as a matchup. That favors the Bears. Yeah, Brown burned him on a deep shot last time, but Johnson locked him down for most of that game. And now Johnson's even better, more experienced, more confident. He can handle Brown. Second and this is huge. We've got to stop the run. The Eagles have been struggling to run the ball this year by their standards. Saquon Barkley is averaging just 3.7 yards per carry, with 684 rushing yards in 2025. Last year, he averaged 5.8 and went over to 1,000 yards. That's a massive drop-off. If Philly can't lean on Barkley to wear down our defense, that puts more pressure on Hurts to win with his arm. And based on what we've seen this year, that's a battle we can win. Now, yeah, our linebacker issues make stopping the run tougher. I'm not gonna sugarcoat that. But if we can keep Barkley in check, if we can force the Eagles into third and long situations, then our D-line can go to work. And here's the beautiful part. If we bottle up Barkley and force Hurts to throw, the Eagles' offense starts to unravel. Outside of the occasional deep shot to Devonta Smith or A.J. Brown, Hurts hasn't been aggressive pushing the ball downfield. He's been relying more on his legs to escape pressure than making quick throws, and that's good for a Bears defense that leads the league with 16 interceptions. If Hurts starts hesitating, holding the ball too long, trying to make something out of nothing with his legs, will be there to make plays. But there's more. The Eagles probably won't have their star right tackle Lane Johnson back for this game. That means Montez Sweat's story. Let's talk about how we're going to win that game against the Eagles. Because I've got the perfect plan, and it all starts with making Jalen Hurts absolutely miserable. Remember the last time the Bears faced the Eagles back in 2022? Let me jog your memory. Jalen Hurts had one of the worst passing games of his career. Yeah, he ran for 3 touchdowns, 2 of them on those infamous tush pushes the Eagles love so much. But as a passer, he was a mess. Hurts threw 2 picks that day, completed just 59% of his 22 passes, finished with a passer rating of 6 to 4.6. That's a WFUL for a guy who's supposed to be one of the league's top quarterbacks. Now, yeah, that game was 3 years ago. In freezing cold Chicago, Black Friday in Philly probably won't be that cold. But that doesn't mean we can't make Hurts suffer again. Because here's the deal: Jalen Hurts in 2025 has been mid as a passer. Headlines keep popping up about A.J. Brown and other offensive guys being frustrated with him. Against the Cowboys last Sunday, Hurts came out hot, but completely disappeared in the second half. The Eagles didn't score a single point after halftime, and after the game, Hurts himself admitted he didn't play well. So how do we take advantage of that? How do we keep the bad vibes rolling? I'll tell you how. First, we need Jalen Johnson back for this one. Johnson versus A.J. Brown is a matchup that favors the Bears. Yeah, Brown burned him on a deep shot in their last meeting, but for most of that game, Johnson had him locked up, and now Johnson's even better, more experienced, more confident. He can handle Brown. Second and this is huge. We have to stop the run. The Eagles have been struggling to run the ball this year by their standards. Saquon Barkley is averaging just 3.7 yards per carry, with 684 rushing yards in 2025. Last year, he averaged 5.8 and went over to 1,000 yards. That's a massive drop-off. If Philly can't rely on Barkley to wear down our defense, that puts more pressure on Hurts to win with his arm. And based on what we've seen this year, that's a battle we can win. Now, yeah, our linebacker issues make stopping the run tougher. I'm not gonna lie, but if we can keep Barkley in check, if we can force the Eagles into third and long situations, then our D-line can go to work. And here's the beauty of it all. If we keep Barkley bottled up and force Hurts to throw, the Eagles' offense starts to crack. Outside of the occasional deep shot to Devonta Smith or A.J. Brown, Hurts hasn't been aggressive pushing the ball downfield. He's been relying more on his legs to escape pressure than making quick decisions. And that's good for a Bears defense that leads the league in picks with 16. If Hurts starts hesitating, if he holds the ball too long, if he tries to make something out of nothing with his legs, will be there to make plays. But there's more. The Eagles probably won't have their star right tackle Lane Johnson back for this game. That means Montez Sweat and our edge rushers are going to be going up against the backup. And let me tell you, Sweat has been on fire lately. This could be a big problem for Philly. Think about it. If we can get consistent pressure off that right side with Sweat, if we can force Hurts to move off his spot, if we can make him uncomfortable in the pocket, then their whole offense starts to fall apart. Because Hurts isn't the kind of QB who can just sit back and carve up defenses with his arm. He needs to feel comfortable. He needs time. He needs to be able to run when things break down. And if we take that away, if we make him play hesitant, mistake-filled football, then we've got a real shot at pulling off the biggest win of the season. Now don't get me wrong. Philly's still a dangerous team. Even with Hurts struggling, you can't ignore their ability to convert short yardage plays. Those tush pushes on 3rd and short or 4th and short are basically automatic. We've seen them convert impossible situations with that play over and over. But here's the thing, if we keep them out of those situations, if we force them into 3rd and medium or 3rd and long, then that play's off the table. And when that happens, when the Eagles have to rely on Hurts to throws under pressure, that's when we attack. Jalen Johnson, Kyler Gordon, Tyreek Stevenson, our whole secondary needs to be locked in. They've got to stick to their guys. They've got to make Hurts hold the ball. And when he does, when he hesitates for just a second, that's when Sweat, DeMarcus Walker, the whole D-line has to collapse that pocket and force bad decisions. And here's what I love about this matchup. The Bears have shown all season they can create turnovers, 16 interceptions leading the league isn't a fluke. This is a defense that studies film. That's in the right spots. That makes plays on the ball. If Hurts throws it 30 to 35 times in this game, I guarantee we'll have chances for picks, and if we can get even to turnovers, if we can give Caleb Williams and the offense a couple short fields, then this game is OURS, but it all starts with stopping the run. I can't stress this enough. If Saquon Barkley has a big game, if he's breaking tackles and getting 5 or 6 yards a pop, then the Eagles are gonna control the clock, keep our defense on the field, and make it really hard for us to win. But if we hold him under 60 or 70 yards, if we force Philly to be one-dimensional, then we've got a real shot. And let me say this about this Bears team, we've answered every challenge this season. Every time someone's doubted us, every time someone said they can't do this or they won't beat that team, we've gone out and proved them wrong. We beat the Steelers in Pittsburgh when everyone said their defense would crush US. We beat the Packers at Lambeau when people said we couldn't win in that environment. We've won tight games, ugly games, games where we had to dig deep and find a way. That's what playoff teams do. That's what contenders do. And that's exactly what we're gonna do this Black Friday in Philly. So, let me ask you this. Bears Nation, after everything we just broke down, after seeing Ozzy Trapilo possibly become the missing piece on our O-line, after watching the experts still disrespect us, despite our 8-3 record, after laying out the perfect plan to make Jalen Hurts suffer, this Friday, do you believe this team is for real? Because I'm telling you I do. I believe in Ryan Poles and the team he's building. I believe in Matt Eberflus and this coaching staff. I believe in Caleb Williams and his potential to be an elite quarterback. I believe in this defense and its ability to create game-changing turnovers. And I believe that Black Friday is the night that flips the entire narrative around the Chicago Bears. But I need to hear from you. Should Trapilo be the starting left tackle for the rest of the season? Or should Benedette get his job back when he's healthy? Are the experts finally going to give us the respect we deserve after we beat the Eagles, or do we have to win the Super Bowl to get taken seriously? And how do you think our defense is going to make Jalen Hurts miserable on Friday? Drop your answers in the comments right now. I want to hear every single take. I want to know if you're as fired up about this team as I am. I want to know if you believe that. Finally, after years of pain, the Chicago Bears are back. And if you're not subscribed to this channel yet, what are you doing? Because I promise you, tomorrow we've got more breaking Bears news coming every single day. We're here breaking down every move, every decision, every snap. This isn't just a YouTube channel, this is a family. This is a community of Bears fans who bleed navy and orange. So smash that LIKE button if you think Trapilo should start. Smash it if you're sick of the disrespect. Smash it if you believe we're gonna destroy the Eagles on Black Friday. And subscribe because you do not want to miss what's coming next for Chicago. Check the pinned playlist in the first comment. Don't miss what's coming for the Bears.